You're skipping a few details here because the kid escaped for a minute, found his mom. What did you do after the kid escaped?
Dude, is it fucking crazy I don't remember? What did I do?
Bill and one of our NPC friends helped the kid escape. So Bijou goddamn tracked the kid down to his house.
Yeah, I broke into that fucking kid's house. Yeah, dude, I literally was Michael Myersing these people. I was.
Okay, dude, I'm telling you, next time I'm on my boat, I'm gonna find that ice wall.
I think that's what you gotta do, man, because if you find the ice wall, you find the gold, and then you find the leprechaun.
Oh, crap. We're recording. Hey, everyone. My name is Ben Lasser. I play Boney on the Nat Camp podcast. And this is On the Roll, where I sit down with a fellow D&D player and talk about some of their favorite campaign moments. Right now, I'm speaking to a good friend of mine and a party member. He is a very funny comedian, writer, and filmmaker. And more important than any of that, he's going to be a guest character coming up on Nat Camp soon. Carson O'Brien. How you doing today, Carson?
I'm great. I'm glad that my life is only defined by my interactions with you through D&D. I love it.
Well, I am the only human being who's really alive, and everyone else is kind of a hallucination.
Yeah, the simulation.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm deaf an NPC. I'm definitely a non-player character. I'm the one who, did you ever play Fallout 3? I'm like Gob the Zombie. That's me.
That's a good NPC to be.
So, we're talking about D&D today?
Yeah, we're talking about D&D. We're talking about one of your favorite moments, which means this is a Bijou story. Can you tell the unenlightened about Bijou?
So, Bijou is a character I've been playing for a few years at this point. When I got in my first D&D game, he was a character I created, and he was just sort of your typical, halfling thief. He wasn't, necessarily anything too special, but upon joining a group with you and everyone else in that camp, like Zach, Danny, beautiful group, love them, I decided to bring the character back and add some spice, so to speak. So Bijou is an orphaned halfling bastard child who was he was born by Tom Hanks. His dad is Tom Hanks, and he was raised by an actual bear. He has a grudge against orphanages because they gave him to an actual bear. And on top of that, at the point in his life that we are talking about in this story, he also believed he was a reincarnation of the god Oladamara, the god of mischief in the D&D universe. And he just generally sort of represents chaotic neutral. When I play him, I try to think of the craziest thing I can do that still feels Bijou, which can often lead to very heightened scenarios or very mundane scenarios. In the case of what we're talking about today, it was rather heightened.
Today we're talking about the time where Bijou tried to very forcefully steal a child. So let's set up the scenario. What was going on with Bijou beforehand, and why did he want a child?
A child. No.
Now, this is the tricky thing about playing Bijou, is I really had to, when you offered this idea to me, I really had to, stop and think back. I was like, man, why did I make all the decisions I made? It's why did I do this? So basically, to set up the story for all the people at home, Bijou and party, it is on their second big adventure. They're in the Witcher universe, and I don't really remember much up to that point other than we had just gotten in a fight with what are the big eye creatures? Beholder, thank you. We just got in a fight with the Beholder, and everybody got decently fucked up. Everyone got pretty crispy and flamey. And Bijou, afterwards, for some reason, he wanted to find a cat because that's what I thought I should do. A big thing about the second session of our D&D campaign was the first one, the whole plot was Bijou's gonna kill his bear dad. That was his arc. In the second one, he had already found out who his dad was. He had already killed his bear dad. So I was literally just winging it every day in terms of there was no end goal. So he finds a cat and he decides to go, I believe, with Danny's character, Beth, to the town square, and he starts selling the cat. And this little girl comes, no, it's a little boy. This little boy comes up and his mom's like, how much? And for some reason, as a response to price, I decided to say, 5 digits. And then I slapped the kid across the face. I picked him up and I ran to the castle. And so this is how I started Kidnap. And I'm trying to think, like, I don't even remember where you were at this point. I think you were, like, so not involved in this adventure.
No, I was very not involved in this adventure. The character I was playing at the time was a human fighter named Alexander Van Helsing. I was off trying to get the party a boat so we can get to this island, actually trying to progress the plot. So basically, I was like the B story that we needed to keep the thing going while this chaos evolved. So, you
So I stole the child.
You stole a child.
I stole him. And like, I would like to say, Bijou nor I promotes kidnapping.
Okay, Bijou promotes kidnapping. You might not. But...
Yeah, but for the sake of my brand, Bijou doesn't either. Yeah. So I steal the kid, and this actually would give me an arc that I will get to later. But I steal the kid. At first, I'm like, "Fuck, what am I gonna do?" So I just go to our big castle with these big walls, and I lock everything. And of course, instantly, like, you can't just steal a child in the middle of town square after you slap them in the face. Like, I don't care if it's the Witcher universe or not. Like, that's still like, whoa. It's like, come on, man. And so I go to the castle, and of course there's an angry mob. There's a huge angry mob. And I was like, well, fuck. And the thing you guys gotta know about Bijou is that Bijou, he likes fighting, but he's like Loki. He's like a silver-tongued fucker. He's silver in the most chaotic way possible. I just confuse you until you leave me alone. That's basically what it is.
You're not the Hulk. You're Dormammu who I've come to bargain.
Yes, exactly. And so I was like, okay, how? Because the first thing I thought of when I had to defend my choice to have custody of a child who isn't mine was my parents' divorce. And I was like, okay, what's the way that, like, men win divorce cases? Okay, I gotta make this a men's rights issue. I gotta appeal to all the men so that none of them believe this woman. And like, that sounds terrible. And honestly, it is. It's a terrible thing to do. I believe I go to the top of the wall and I'm like, that's my kid. Nobody can tell me anything. And my roll, for some reason, it was like an 18. So like half of the crowd believed it. They were all like, oh yeah, that's his kid. Like, with the exception of like one guard who stayed by with the mom. And I was just like, this fucking guard. And
how dare he?
Yeah, and then this maybe you can help me with. I don't really remember how I got out of the castle, but I know
Beth, she cast a friends on the guard and talked him out of it for you.
Yes, that's what it was. And then I was able to leave for a little bit. And this is where an issue comes up with Bijou's character. Now, Bijou is a character who, for the most part, gets along with everyone in the party because he's just a very chaotic guy. He doesn't like starting fights within his friend group. He's only because he realizes he has very few allies because of his behavior. There is one exception, and that is the lovely Jared, who was playing a demon turned human named Bill.
Beelzebub.
Who like since session 1 had been the bane of Bijou's existence because his character was very level-headed, not aggressive, very like focused on being a good person despite being a demon. And that's just the opposite of Bijou, who's completely driven by self-interest. So obviously when he found out I stole a child, it didn't go over well. And it didn't help that we had already, like, the past 2 weeks been fighting more. And a big that stems from that is like our second session in the first big campaign. They asked who wants to be the leader, and I was like, Bijou's got to be the leader. I've got to lead these fuckers into the worst scenarios. I've got to be the worst leader. I've got to be like Dutch. I got to be like, just follow the plan.
I had a goddamn plan.
Obviously, they didn't vote me. They did not elect Bijou. They elected Bill, which was a rational decision. But like that. And I didn't tell Jared this for a while, and this is like one of my favorite things about D&D is like the mystery you can keep from other players. Is that like fucking I instantly was like, oh, Bijou hates Bill because he didn't want him to be leader. And then Bijou starts to kiss up to Bill, and like Bill still rejects him. So they've had a grudge going for a while. So when Bill finds out about this kid, he's like, why did you steal a kid? This is my Jared. Why did you steal a kid? You can't just steal kids. I'm tired of this shit. And so he gives the kid back. The kid gets back to his mom. And he like forces me against a wall, or Beth does, one of the two. And I'm like, I'm tired of this bullshit. You know what? You and me just got to fight. And it was
Oh,
so
hold on. You're skipping a few details here because the kid escaped for a minute, found his mom. What
You're
did
right.
you do after the kid escaped?
Dude, is it fucking crazy I don't remember? What did I do?
You don't fucking remember. Okay,
No,
let me fill in as Bill and one of our NPC friends helped the kid escape. So Bijou goddamn tracked the kid down to his house.
Yeah, I broke into that fucking kid's house. Yeah, dude, I literally like was Michael Myersing these people. Like I was stalking them.
You were about to kill them. My character was off, but like Bill, Beth, and Slipsy or Waganasi Ranger were all there just barely on your side. They were just barely on your side. And then you wanted to kill them all.
Yeah, I wanted to kill the mom. Well, because I wanted the kid. Because at this point, this determined what my arc for the rest of the series was, which was having a child. Because Bijou, after a near-death experience with the Beholder, wanted a kid.
Mm-hmm.
He wants an heir. He wants someone to keep his legacy. And Bijou's the type who, you know, if he's got to kill a woman to do it, if he's got to kill a single mom to do it, he'll do it. You know, it's not the nice way, it's not the moral way, but it's the Bijou way. And so yeah, that happened, and obviously that upset Bill. And then that's what led to the fight.
I mean, Alexander was a bit of a righteous prick, my character, but he was still kind of moral, but he wasn't there to do anything. How did you expect the rest of the party to act? Like, did you think, oh, I can go as crazy as I can because my party's going to stop us from getting too fucked up? Or did you think you're going to be able to go as far as you could?
I thought I was going to be able to get the kid, if I'm being honest. Like, I thought I was going to be able to get this kid. Like, because here's the thing. I know you would have had a reaction to it. I don't think you would have done anything for the sake of the party. Like, because that's the thing is, like, when Alexander eventually did, like, stand up for his morals to the point where he died, it was because of, like, he famously, because he's a Van Helsing, like, hates demons and dead things. So I don't think he would have had an issue with Bijou as much, but I definitely would have gotten a lecture. You gave me a few of those.
I did.
Alex. And so yeah, and Slipsy I expected to not care because he's pretty wild, and I just kind of expected everyone but Bill to be on board. And of course he wasn't. So I'm like, Bill, you and me, we just gotta fight right now. And he's like, you know what? You're right. I think this is the only way we can solve this problem. Which is the funniest reaction you can have to someone saying, let's fight. And we decided to keep it a fist fight in order to keep it like, you know, not lethal. And if I do remember correctly, at first I was kind of whipping his ass. You
were. He was,
like
he was a wizard with like no strength. Meanwhile, you were a halfling with a very high AC, so you kind of were just. Well, okay, but you see the specific motions of the fist fight. Like, do you remember the specific moves?
Yes, I do. I don't remember the killing of the mom, but I remember the fist fight. So the fist fight starts, and the thing Bijou likes to do is, because Bijou's so small and agile, my dexterity is so good, I like to do like jumping punches and like quick, like that scene in Avengers, like Civil War, where they're like fighting each other and it's like bow, bow, bow.
Yeah,
and so I hit him in like the fucking knee, like then a gut punch. He gets a punch in, I keep hitting him, and then we just keep punching each other, and then eventually it's not going my way. He gets back, he starts wailing on me, and I'm like, fuck it. He's not gonna do anything. He's Jared. He's not gonna do anything. So I take out my little dagger and I fucking just go right to his leg. I'm like, ja! And he's just like, oh. And fucking he instantly, like, because we had made the agreement that no weapons would be used. And the reason I ended up using them is because Beth was getting so tired with the fight that she was like, next one to throw a punch or gets in, like, is gonna get fucking ice beam. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'll stab him. And I did. And Jared didn't react that well. And the thing about Jared's character is he didn't have any strength physically, but magic-wise.
He was a walking nuke.
I don't think he quite knew his own strength, because he says to Zach, our DM, he says to him, he's like, I want to hit him with, it's like Beam of Fire.
Oh, it was a Scorching Ray, which is usually a level 3 spell, but he decided, you know what, I'm going to upgrade this. I want to do extra oomph. I want to do a level 4 Scorching Ray.
And so for those of you who don't get it, it's basically he literally like sent 4 like scorching hot beams of fire at me. But he like just completely like crisp and Bijou. And the funniest thing about it was as soon as that happened, I had to make life-saving rolls.
I mean, Bijou was a halfling rogue, so even though he was very quick, he didn't have a lot of HP. So you got floored. You got your ass whooped. I'm gonna be honest with you, dude.
You got knocked the fuck out!
So he just whips me out. And I don't think he expected to do this, but yeah, I'm on the floor, like bleeding out to death. And I'm fairly certain the child and mom are still in the room. Like, I don't know why.
So, did you think that was the end of Bijou right then and there?
Nah, I didn't think so. I was kind of hoping for it. I'll be honest, whenever like death comes up in D&D, I hope it happens. Because I think it's like one of the best character building moments for other party members. And like, especially with your death, like when Alexander actually died, it made Bijou a much more noble person. And I really like those moments of growth in D&D. That's like what I really live for. And so I wasn't expecting him to die, but at the same time, I was like, if he does die, this will be perfect for Bill. Like, it'll give Bill such an arc. He's available to go on. And like, so I get the saving rolls. I think actually Bill ends up using a health potion to save me. And after that, weirdly enough, Bill and I were cool. Like, I used that as a catalyst to sort of get over this big argument. Because my thought was Bijou was already feeling weird about his mortality and having a kid, and now the fact that he can get killed by Bill, who is in his head a punk ass bitch, he's like, oh shit, I gotta have kids. And so this started a new journey, which was just as ridiculous, where Bijou would go around fucking everyone, including like party members' former girlfriends, prostitutes he hired to live at the castle just to be like his surrogate mom. And like it just led to a complete bin of chaos, and it really wouldn't have happened unless Jared almost killed me. And like, I just live for inter-party conflict. It was just the best. But the worst thing about it, I never saw that kid again. I have no idea what happened to that kid, and if I ever see that fuck again, I'm gonna get him.
You're a little developed, but not that developed.
Dude, well, because now Bijou's got a prize. Yeah. Yeah, so that's probably my favorite D&D story. You know, it's got everything you want out of like, if you read a screenwriting book, they're like, what do you need to write a script? You need structure, you need pacing, you need good characters, you need a baby stealing, and you need a near-death experience. And this had all of it.
I mean, we all know Raising Arizona is the Coen Brothers' best movie. Let's not parse our words here because of the baby stealing.
Yes, I agree. Because the baby stealing and the motorcycles.
And the motorcycles. One thing I wanted to ask, because I feel like chaotic neutral is definitely a very attractive morality to playing D&D, but I feel like a lot of people just simplify chaotic neutral to kind of chaotic stupid. Like, lol, I stabbed the shopkeeper we need to be friends with because lol, look at me, I'm so random. But you definitely embody chaos very well. Do you have any advice for anyone listening who wants to play low chaotic?
Yeah, I actually think that's a great question because that's something that I really like. And with the character I've been building for like Nat Camp, he is like chaotic, but he's like chaotic good. And like I had this whole idea of like, well, the thing about Bijou, and for my advice for other players, the thing about being chaotic, and especially being chaotic neutral, is it means it's not just, stabbing the shopkeeper. It's not just stealing the baby. It's not just getting killed by Bill. It's more than that. It's about the unexpected. And that's the thing. When you start stabbing shopkeepers, they're just going to expect you to stab shopkeepers. They're not going to expect you to become friends with the shopkeeper. So do that. And that's the thing is like, and once you start making those decisions, at least for me with Bijou, I found an internal logic to all of his decisions. And once you place that internal logic for your character, it's good. But for a beginning, when you're still finding out like what your character is, who they are, getting into their skin, I would suggest doing what is unexpected, which again is not necessarily what is violent, which I think is what people kind of confuse chaotic neutral in D&D for.
Yeah, because Bijou had a lot of very non-violent, chaotic moments. At one point, we were in this one dreamscape, able to have our characters temporarily look different for a while, and Bijou took on, was it a drag persona? That was really
Yes,
cool.
my Bijou's drag persona. What was it? Oh, Sweet Heat Mango Peach at your service. Yeah. Yeah, and like, there's a lot of stories. If I ever come back on here, we'll definitely have to tell the story of Chaoticus, which is Bijou's holiday.
I low-key wanted to talk about Chaoticus, but this is pretty darn good too.
I felt like we needed to introduce Bijou to the people before we get into Chaoticus.
True. Not everyone's ready for Chaoticus. I was hardly ready for. I know I wasn't ready for Chaoticus. Bijou had succeeded, and you would have had this child like you thought was going to happen. What would Dad Bijou look like?
Dad Bijou. He'd dress like Stanley Tucci. That's what it is. He'd shave his head and he'd get glasses and he'd start wearing like button-ups and like khakis.
Nice.
That's the fun of like D&D for me, is living in a world without consequences, where I can constantly surprise people, whether it's good or bad. Like, there were times where like Bijou would just have drinking songs randomly when you thought he was going to start bar fights, and it's just, that's the fun of it. And I guess that's the big thing I would say to like aspiring D&D players and starting D&D players, is that, you know, don't worry about making an impact on the world. As tempting as it is, don't worry about like changing everything, becoming the most popular person in the village. Don't worry about that shit. Just worry about what makes you happy to be the character. Because for me, like, D&D is a huge thing with my like depression and anxiety, because I am constantly trying to please people. I am constantly trying to be there for people. And so it's just like, dude, be someone else. Be someone you wish you could be. Be someone who makes their decisions whenever they want, wherever they want, even if sometimes it backfires, like when you slap a child. And it's just like, that's why I would recommend to people, like, don't take it too seriously. I know a few people who definitely take D&D too seriously. Just have fucking fun.
Oh, most definitely. Those idiots who make podcasts or whatever.
Yeah, you've heard that one, Nat Camp? It fucking sucks.
Oh, it does. That guy, Boney, like, it's like basing your entire character off Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. We all know Wayne's World was better.
Yeah, Boney, more like Boner from the Wonder Years. Am I right?
That's a good place to end this. Is there anything else about the child kidnapping saga, Bijou, D&D in general, or just anything in the Great Blue world that you want to talk about before we wrap up here today?
Nothing we can't save till the inevitable Chaoticus episode.
Oh, we're doing a Chaoticus episode. And listen, I don't know who the heck is listening right now, but you are not ready for Chaoticus. But you're going to get it anyways.
Yeah, I guess this is how I'll leave then. I hope you enjoyed the tale of Bijou. I hope you enjoyed the tale of child kidnapping. Next time I'm here, you'll get to hear all about his holiday, where he makes every decision in the game by wheel. It's called Chaoticus. And if you want to know when that's up, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at It's Carson. Plug in.
Oh, yes. Is there anything else you want to plug?
I make music. I've been making more music now if you want to find my like sound collage work and my Plunder Phonics like comedy work, mashup work, you can go search Malt Drisney and the Nitrogen Bandits. I've been releasing a lot of stuff under that. And other than that, like, I'm doing a poetry book with our party member, Michael Paradiso, who I'm sure will be on here one day. And yeah, just, you know, a lot of exciting stuff coming up. I'll be on Nat Camp soon. So, you know, just follow me, follow Nat Camp, especially. Like, I really love the work you guys are doing. And on top of that, like, just speaking to the audience, these are some of the funniest people I know. And they're some of the most lovely people I know, even Ben.
Well, they're all lovely. They bring me along because they feel a little guilty because I'm not as good as them.
It's okay. I think you're just as good, Ben. You're Ben, if you were a child, I'd slap you and take you.
Oh, that's the nicest thing I've heard in about 30 seconds. Okay, so everyone, thank you for joining me here today. Please follow NatCamp on YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, everywhere podcasts are found except Apple's Podcast, because fuck those guys.
For real.
Please follow us for more Real Play podcasts, interviews, and fun D&D content. And I hope to see you all around the campfire.